What's up, motherfuckers? Welcome back to another episode of the Lowlife motherfucking Chopper Podcast.
What's up, sports fans? That's the new intro. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I missed the first half of it. I was just like, oh, I've seen this 100 times, and I was just like looking off into space.
We can play it again.
I seen your part; it looked legit.
Yeah. I just added some more pics.
Yeah, look good.
Yeah. So happy Friday, everybody. We are very excited. We are joined with Perry Steed from Operation Purpose. Thank you for coming on our show today, Perry.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I can't believe we didn't do this last year after the show.
Yeah, we definitely should have done this last year after the show.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I'm here now, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. We're not that well prepared.
We're not.
We're kind of
Story of my life, man. Story of my life.
Yeah. We might not be handy, but we're handsome. All right. Before we get into the interview, we got some heavy housekeeping this week. Heavy. Yeah. I'm actually super excited to talk about this because have you guys ever heard of Malört?
Sounds made up.
Have you ever heard of Malört? It's a Chicago area delicacy. And I've been meaning, you can't go to the liquor store and buy this. It's legendarily shitty. People say it tastes like wet socks, garbage, vomit. But I reached out to our Chicago area friend, Elvis Quanbeck. And I go, dude, can you send me a bottle of Malört? And he fucking came through. Not only did he get this Malört bottle, he sent me a bunch of Chicago thing. I guess this is a thing in Chicago. Hot gardenia. That looks good. And a bunch of beers. But I wanted to try this for the first time in my life on air. And I might puke. I've actually seen a lot of tastings.
Wait, why? You've never had it before and you wanted him to send it to you?
Yeah, because it's supposed to be so bad. Like people take shots and they just start vomiting. It has an aroma and full-bodied flavor of an unusual botanical. Bitter taste is savored by two-fisted drinkers. So I'm going to pour myself a shot and I might get sick on air, but I wanted to do this.
I hope you puke so bad.
Oh, dude, I think that was a heavy pour.
It serve you right.
I got a chaser. Oh, yeah, he gave me this other thing. I think there's a drink. This is another Chicago thing, old style. I guess these two things go together. This does not. It doesn't smell bad, but Elvis, thank you. Make sure I get my trash can ready.
See it. Good.
Wow. That is horrendous.
It looks good.
I guess it has wormwood is like the only flavoring in it. Dude, that tastes like a Band-Aid. That's fucking disgusting. Wow. Thanks. Thank you though. Oh, wow. It doesn't go away. The flavor just lingers. Malört. Yeah, I'm just gonna bring this everywhere I go and make people take shots of it. That is fucking disgusting. That is definitely the worst liquor I've ever had. By a lot. It tastes like earth. Anyways, another update that I wanted to share is Zenith Motoco. He hit me up about a lot of people were hitting us up about the Vermont loophole for registration that they shut down. And I didn't know this was a thing. But there's apparently a vintage motorcycle repair shop that offers title service. So this is, I guess, a little PSA if you're having trouble getting your old shit box titled. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. That fucking Malört is still. I don't think I'll ever. I don't know if it'll ever go away. So Saints_Engine. They're out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and they offer a title service. So
you just said Chattanooga so weird.
What did I say? How did I say it?
You just put like a lot of syllables in there. You're like Chattanooga.
Dude, I'm seriously like, I don't know what wormwood, like maybe I'm allergic or something, but I'm feeling like preoccupied. Chattanooga, Tennessee, Saints_Engine. If you have a piece of shit that you were planning on sending to Vermont to get titled, send it to them. I assume that they charge a nominal fee for that service, but yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. I was actually joking with someone that had hit me up about it, like, oh, well, I'll just do it in New Hampshire if you send me your title, because it's so easy to get things registered here, but they don't do titles. But I guess they do in Tennessee. So the other shout out, North Parts Co. If you're on the West Coast and you want some vapor honing done, now this guy does a bunch of stuff. He does repairs on vintage Harley stuff. He does sandblasting, Cerakote, fab work, machine work, all that shit. But cool guy. He's in Washington, which is in Longview, Washington, which is like 30 miles north of Portland, Oregon. So if you're on that coast, don't send me your shit to get vapor honed. Hit North Parts Co. up. He just opened up a shop. Legit dude. Looks like he does a little bit of everything, so he's pretty fucking handy. But check him out. Give him a follow at North Parts Co. Did you have any housekeeping?
Nothing like what you have. Just shout outs.
All right.
First one is to La Espada Chopper Club. They have a show coming up Saturday, May 4th, 2024, 576 Primrose Street, Haverhill, Mass. Custom bikes, bands, beer, food, vendors, and raffles. There's an indoor show and a ride-in show. Starts at noon. Goes hold on. Bands, raffles, and awards start at 4 p.m. If you need any information, hit up F6T9W. And I know I've said this before, but the motherfucking Lowlife Lowdown, June 8th, 2024, 232 Calif Highway, Epping, New Hampshire. There will be food, beer, music, raffles, motorcycle and chopper show, and biker games. Listen, if you came last year, it was a fucking blast. This year is going to be bigger and better. A lot more shit. All raffle proceeds go to the man himself, Perry at Operation Purpose. So come out, hang out. It's the first day of bike week. It gives you something to do. You got 6 more fucking days to go to Laconia if you want. So get down to this show on the 8th.
It's 2 weeks. Bike week's 2 weeks. You got 13 more days.
Oh, 13 days. I thought it was one whole week. Oh, no,
they do
right.
2.
It is 2 weeks. Fuck.
Yeah. They call it bike week, but it's bike weeks. Yeah. So you get 2 weekends in there. Yeah, it's going to be a banger. We will probably be set up at bike week too, doing something. Oh, we're going to find somewhere. I'll just fucking set up on the sidewalk.
Yeah, I love it.
Just taking money for parking cars and shit in someone else's driveway. We also have our coffee collab, Bump Shop Diaries. He just released another awesome pulp video. That's the Trey Bark assassin, old Rodney. He's I was going to say Chicago's in Michigan, but it's not. It's in Illinois. But same thing to us New Englanders. I'm not good with geography, as we've established pretty well on this show. But if you buy a camp mug, which I've seen a few out in the wild, thank you guys for tagging us in those pics.
Oh, I thought you meant
like online in the wild. So I guess not at all in the wild. I see mine in the wild every day. My kids really like it. Same. And I don't mind giving it to them because if they drop it, it's not going to shatter into 1,000 pieces. But if you buy a mug, a camp mug off of lowlifechopperpodcast.com in our store, I'll send you a code for $5 off the hardtail blend. Dude, fresh roasted, whole bean or ground, beautiful coffee. Last piece of housekeeping. Cornerstone Manufacturing. Joel, go listen to him on Cancel This Podcast, our triumphant return to podcasting after our cancellation. He's going to be giving away his Kydex DIY chopper seat. So he got them in, he made them, and they sold out immediately. And he hit me up and he goes, dude, I can't send you one yet because they just sold out immediately. So hot commodity. We're going to get some as soon as he gets them back in, and we'll show you what it looks like. But go over to Cornerstone Manufacturing at cornerstone.mfg on Instagram. Give him a follow. Check him out. He's doing all sorts of cool stuff, like really innovative stuff.
Hey,
He's
you
into
should tell him
computers and shit.
to make a video of him like
forming it.
installing that thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
like forming it, and we can throw it on our YouTube thing so people know.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. All right. That's all I have for housekeeping, I think.
All right, let's jump into this motherfucking episode. I'm sick of housekeeping.
I know, dude. Sorry, we have to do
Fuck this house.
Get that shit out of the way, and then we get into the fun stuff. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
All right. So I guess where do we want to start? You're a bike guy, so let's start with. I mean, how'd you get into riding? How'd you get into bikes?
I've always been around motorcycles. When I was a little kid, you know, the normal stuff you see them riding down the road. And I got raised in a pretty strict, no fun household. So if it was crazy or scary, then I was obviously attracted to it because it wasn't really something I was exposed to growing up. We had some outlaw bikers around, and I kind of dug those guys, kind of, you know, how they were on the fringe. I didn't start riding until a buddy of mine got a sport bike when we were in the military, and he wrecked it all the time. My house broke more than he rode it, so I'd tinker with it and go riding around. And then my father-in-law, whenever he would come visit from Connecticut down to Fort Bragg, he would always ride his motorcycle. And he didn't have a Harley or anything. He rode an old BMW. So it never failed him. It always did the job for him. And I think that he was probably more anti-Harley than anyone I've ever met in my life. But yeah, it's funny, it's a little ironic because he talked about how, you know, you always got to work on them, they're loud, blah, blah, blah. And we worked on his bike a lot. It never left him stranded, but we did a lot of maintenance on that bike. But, you know, back then I wasn't really mature enough to have a motorcycle. I was stupid. I did all kinds of stupid crap. And, you know, it's one thing to jump out of airplanes for a living, you know, but I was driving way too fast. I'd get on that bike and I'd ride too fast, and I had a brand new wife, and I was like, man, I gotta stick around. So, you know, years later, getting out of the military and whatnot, you know, I found myself in a spot where I could afford a motorcycle, and I bought a BMW. It's an old airhead. I was one of those lived up in Connecticut. So I started riding in kind of new, actually, comparatively, 08, you know. So I took a pretty extensive hiatus from that. Always worked on them for people, you know, had them in my yard, you know, worked on restored bikes for some people and just fixing stuff. But I rode that old clapped out BMW for a year, put like 10,000 miles on it, rode it everywhere up to the top of Maine, all over, you know, rode the Kangamangas on this thing, and had a good time on it. And then I realized that it just wasn't me, you know. I mean, obviously it wasn't me, but so I took it all apart and fixed the things that needed to be fixed on it, and I got it put back together, and, you know, did everything I could myself. You know, shot peen the frame, clear powder coated it, had all the bodywork soda blasted, primed it and painted it on my clothesline in my backyard, and put it all back together, put 200 miles on it, and decided to ride from Connecticut down to North Carolina to meet some family I never met. So on that trip, I met my birth family, and then that's when I realized that the motorcycle gene was it was that nature over nurture thing. So everybody on my dad's side of the family rides or rode, and they're also crazy as shit. So I had that going for me as well. But fast forward a bunch of years later, and I've been riding ever since. Had a bunch of bikes, got a bunch of bikes now. I got more bikes now than I've ever had, and 5 of them are BMWs. Got an old Italian motorcycle, got an old Moto Guzzi, and an XS 650, and yeah, then my dad's Ultra Classic right here. So he passed away while I was on my ride in 2022 from suicide, and thankfully I was able to save that bike. There's no telling where that thing would have gone if I hadn't taken it, and brought it home. So yeah, it turned into more of a job for me for riding. Those guys, that I came up riding with, like my father-in-law and everything, we'd take off at 6 in the morning and go for breakfast, and we'd put 300 miles on before we stopped to have something to eat. And we'd be, top of Vermont, and then we'd come home at 10 o'clock at night. We'd just ride all day. So doing all the miles and everything, with that whole BMW crowd, that was where I got pretty into doing the distance stuff. And it kept doing the distance riding on a motorcycle kept me out of bar hopping. That's a big thing, as everybody knows. But that was a smart thing for me. So riding all the distance and whatnot, that was something that kind of kept me safe. And then my wife, she didn't really think too much about where I was at, as long as I was with her dad and all his friends. And she never really knew how crazy they really were, because they kind of censored themselves a little bit around her. But yeah, that's how I got started.
Wow. So you said you met your birth family. Is that, I guess, how did you grow up? How old were you when you finally met them?
So you're gonna go deep on it, man. I'm gonna go deep on you.
Okay.
So I knew from the moment I was like I could understand anything that I was adopted. Being born in the mid '70s, they told families to kind of coach the kids, as they're growing up a certain way. It's changed several times, but I was always told that, hey, your birth family, they cared about you, but they couldn't take care of you, so they gave you to us. So I was raised in a pretty straight-laced household, and I knew early on that I didn't fit in any of that shit. I'm just, I don't listen to fucking gospel music. I do dig old country, but I didn't dress the way they wanted me to. I didn't have a haircut the way they wanted me to. I fucking rode skateboards and BMX bikes and listened to Iron Maiden, and so as I got older, that divide, kind of spread between my adopted family and me, and I just found myself doing my own thing more and more and more. And then I just after I got out of high school, man, I had no rudder. I was just kind of floundering, so I decided to go in the military. So I do that, get married and all that jazz, and I have a daughter, and I had a friend of mine, and he had some weird genetic crap in his family that affected all the women, and he was a carrier for it. Found out through like this genetic testing, and he's like, "Man, you need to figure that shit out for your daughter." I was like, "Well, yeah," because everything I had to fill out for her, family medical history shit, was like on the dad's side, it's not applicable, because I didn't fucking know. I didn't know anything. And it just so happened that, they ended up passing this law or a House bill in North Carolina, where you could go back to the adoption agency and they could act as like an intermediary. So I filled in all that stuff. And then was a long wait. You know, it was I did that in like 2008 actually, and in 2011 I finally met him.
Oh wow, that
Um,
is a long wait.
yeah. Well, you know, they didn't have a hard time really finding. They found her. She was 17 when she had me, and you know, my birth father, like they weren't together, so that shit was, you know, like documented. And so what you do is you pay some money, and it's not a whole lot of money, but that enables them to like send you what they knew up to 1975 when I was born, and then when your number comes up, then they assign an investigator.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I waited, you know, letters were exchanged, you know, and it was like a really kind of a mind fuck, man, when you think that there's like a whole other family out there. And
Yeah,
like you think about growing up and you're like, you sensationalize that shit. And you're like, oh man, it might be millionaires, you know, like my days of like scraping change together out of my ashtray to go buy a pack of smokes. Those are over.
yeah. So you were
But
like in your 30s at this point in 2008.
yeah, yeah, I met
Wow. Okay.
them in 2011, and yeah, I was in my mid 30s. So
Wow.
um, yeah, so I fixed that bike and got it all put back together. And everybody told me I was crazy taking off by myself on a bike that wasn't really proven. I just didn't give a shit. I was gonna fucking ride it anyway. And yeah, so I just bombed down the interstate, you know, just not knowing what the fuck I was going to roll up into. And I also sketched about it, like even though I'd exchanged phone, you know, letters and then phone calls, like even my birth father, when I finally met that dude, it was like 5 minutes we're finishing each other's sentences. And it sounded like I was listening to myself on the other end of the phone. It was wild. And yeah, the first night, you know, I was like super paranoid about where to leave this bike, man. I ended up in like Northern Virginia. And it's like a bunch of fucking frat kids like partying at this motel and a bunch of truck drivers and contractors. And I was tired as shit, man. It was August. I was like fucking beat. And I rolled up and there's like the night shift guy at the motel. He's like, man, I got one room. It's a handicap room. And I was like, all right, man, I'll take it. Dude had the apron cut out for a wheelchair, and the thing was wide. I just pulled my fucking bike right in the damn
Oh
hotel room
shit.
with me. Oh yeah, man. And yeah, and then I took off the next day, man, and ended up beating them, and it was nuts, man. It was nuts because you know they got each one of them had their own families after me. You know they
Oh
waited.
yeah.
So my next oldest sibling, I'm old enough to be their father.
Oh
You know,
wow.
like yeah, I was graduating high school when they were born. And so when I met them finally, it's like I don't have any history with these folks. I don't have any like background. It's just I sound like their father, and I'm more like their dad than them, even though they were raised around him. Like
Hmm.
it's wild. Never meeting that cat, man. I mean, we even had the same fucking tattoos, man.
No shit.
No shit, man. Spider webs on our arms and some
Oh
other
wow.
stuff, man. Just some little shit here and there, man. It was weird. It was wild. It was badass, man. It was like I was standing
Yeah.
in front of this man. I was like looking in the mirror. Yeah, it was crazy.
Dude, that's weird because like after I had kids and shit, like it really unlocks the that nurture versus nature thing because it's like, dude, you're pretty much who you are when you're born. You know, like my daughter is the same fucking person she was when she was born as she is now. You know what I mean? Like the way they laugh, the way their mannerisms are, it's all just like packaged up. And I'm like, I used to think that parents had way more influence on their kids. You know what I mean? Like how they turn out, but it's like it's kind of like no, dude, they're their own thing. You know, from day one.
Hmm. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a
My
wild
daughter,
story
she
though.
tried to kind of, yeah, she tried to. My daughter, my older, she tried to kind of revolt from who she was, you know, back in her tween age years, and you know, she's like, I'm never getting tattoos. You know, I don't like listening to, you know, I like listening to this like emo bull crap, and I like, you know, this whatever, and you know, that shit like it came around, man, like it really did, and now she's like cool ass like 19-year-old girl that's like full on me and my wife, man. She is just her own. She is who she is, and she don't
Yeah.
apologize for nothing. And I, growing up the way I did, in such a counter, to the. If I'd been raised by my birth family, I mean, I wouldn't have like brothers and sisters probably because I would have been such a handful. They would have like, fuck that shit. I'm not having any more kids. But nah, I probably would have been in prison, man.
Oh yeah.
They were just that. My father's just that wide open, and him being that age, 18 years old when I was born,
Oh, I couldn't
man,
imagine.
he didn't have, nah, nope. And my mom, my birth mother, the same way. I mean, she was a free spirited kind of hippie chick, and did her own thing. She actually went into exile to have me. Like she fled, like she ran away and had me, and came home, and then couldn't stand like being the fact that I was gone, and she took off again. So it's been a roller coaster, man. It's definitely a mixed bag, but out of all these kids that they ended up having, like I'm the only one that rides a motorcycle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, what you were saying before about like good thing like you didn't have a motorcycle when you were younger. I'm the same way, dude. I'd 100% be dead. If I was one of those dudes that like grew up around bikes and I was 16, I'd definitely 100% be dead by now. Driving drunk or do some stupid shit.
That's
Take
what
it
I
off
thought.
the jump. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a bunch of bad shit when I was in the military. Guys, we get off of deployment, we come back, and they'd hop on their CBRs or whatever, and they, rev bomb the shit out of them and like ride a wheelie down the road, and then they don't show up for formation the next morning. It's like, well, this dude fucking died last night because he hadn't been on a bike in 6 months, and he decided to go be a dumbass, go downtown and have a couple beers and go hit all the straight roads and wrap himself up around a tree. And I couldn't do that to my wife.
So how old were you? I guess when you enlisted or when you joined, like what was in what branch did you join? Yeah, I think you said Air Force.
No, I was in the Army.
Oh,
So I
you
got
were just
out.
jumping out of planes.
Yeah, I was just jumping
Okay.
out of them. Yeah. Yeah, I joined in '94, and I got out at the end of '97. I was like a E4 Mafia guy. I was up for my E5, and just shit just didn't work out, man. It was a whole different ballgame back then. And I yeah, I took my vow that I made to my wife over the vow that I made to my country because they kind of shit on me, and I wasn't gonna make my wife suffer anymore with me not being there. And back then there were so many guys dying, even in training, and we were going off on these stupid little deployments to God knows where, and I was with her for like 2.5 years when we were in, and I may total have had 6 months with her. And this is during peacetime, man. And if we went 82 days without somebody dying, we got a day off. We hit
Oh
that
shit.
twice. Yeah. Yeah, we hit that twice one summer. It was awesome, man. But then, like, after that, it never got over like 2 weeks the whole rest of the time I was in. It was nuts. But,
What the
you
fuck?
don't talk about that stuff now because it's like the Army, the military itself has evolved, and changed so much since then. You know, it was, you could be a loose cannon like I was back then. You could still do dumb shit and still keep your job. You could do dumb shit and still be in the military because they were gonna fix you one way or the other. They were
Mm-hmm.
they were the island of the misfit toys. Now they want it completely different.
No shit. So
Yeah.
let's get into Operation Purpose. What is Operation Purpose? How did it get started? What there's also riding aspect to this too. Ride for Light, right? Yeah, just give us the whole deal. Let's start from the beginning. How did this start?
Well, Ride for Light was the first thing. But to kind of put it all into perspective is where we're at now. Operation Purpose is a veterans so there's like a national awareness, local action. We focus on buddy checks, and we're here to let the veteran community know that there's somebody there's got their back. That you don't have to go looking for us. We'll come looking for you. We're out in the community. We're exposed. We're available. And we're growing. Our numbers getting bigger as far as the people that I do the buddy checks with, and the people that are helping us out and extending a hand to those that feel isolated or alone. That's one of the big things that happens when you get out of the military. Is you just lose everybody. I was in a squad with guys from all over the place, and when you leave, you leave. You don't get to go back and see them, all the time. You don't get to have that bond anymore. So you lose it, and you lose your tribe, you lose your buddy system. So
what's a buddy check? It's just checking in, like a phone call. Is it like showing up, saying what's up? Like
it's anything. A buddy check's anything. So I'll get to that in a second. So the buddy check, I'm sorry. In 2012, one of my best friends, this dude had ghosted me like time and time again. I mean, sometimes for years. We lived in the same town for a while, and I'd pass him on the street, call him, and he wouldn't answer the phone, and it came back around where he needed some help. He had something going on, and he called me. I answered the phone. I was fucking pissed at him, but it wasn't the first time the guy had done it. I knew it wasn't going to be the last, but I knew he didn't have anybody else, so I might as well, swallow my pride and at least hear him out. And he'd almost died in the hospital. That kid that I was telling you about a little while ago, this genetic stuff, and so I didn't shun him. I didn't make him feel ashamed for like flying under the radar for so long. And but he ended up doing it again. He ended up, we moved to Connecticut. He moved to Minnesota, and he just kept ghosting me. And I had a whole bunch of my own shit going on that some similar problems. But I got a phone call one day, and it was his daughter, who's my goddaughter, and he died. She didn't know how he died. She was all out in Washington State, but she knew that he was gone, and I ended up getting in touch with his family and found out exactly what happened. And then in the following days, his father, also a veteran, wanted me to come get some of his ashes and take them and spread them someplace that meant something to Chris and I. There's only one place if you jump out of airplanes, it's really like that's the place where everybody knows, and that's Cicely Drive Zone at Fort Bragg. So I told him, yeah, I'll do it. I'll be glad to do it. I'll be honored. And thanks for thinking of me. And that was in 2012. And man, I fucking fell apart. I mean, with all my shit and then that other thing on top of it, over the next few years, my wife and I, we lost almost 24 people in our family. And it was like every time I turned around, man, somebody was fucking dead for something. It might be old people dying of old people shit. It might be, a family member that got carbon monoxide poisoning working a job and died at work. It's just weird shit. So it's just one thing on top of the other. And then my own personal stuff, having screws loose was, that was on me. And so I just spent like the next few years kind of climbing myself out of my hole. And, we had two more children, and I'm just like focusing, keeping my head down, trying to put one foot in front of the other and just be the dad they deserved, be the husband they deserved. And I wasn't really succeeding at any of it. I was a functioning fucking alcoholic, and I had so angry all the time, just pissed off, and I had to find something that meant something to me, something that I could do outside of going and working a regular job. So in 2021, I kind of grabbed my nuts and I was like, I'm gonna take off on my bike and I'm gonna just get the fuck out of Dodge for a little bit and see if I can clear my head, see if I can do this thing. And then this ride was it was like off in the distance, something that I knew if I could make it on this little trip I was going to do, I could make this big trip. So it's kind of it was a litmus test to see if I had the fortitude to make the big trip happen. So I did like 2,500 miles in a couple weeks, and I stayed, North Carolina and Virginia and Maryland and, all that way around that area, just kind of going in. I was doing a little buddy checks on some guys that I hadn't talked to in a while because something I didn't mention is after I lost Chris, somebody popped in my head. I was calling. I wasn't gonna let that shit slide anymore because I felt like, if I'd have called him, he might have answered, and then he might have been here another day, another week. And then that other day, that other week might have given some fuel in his tank, so he could like go see the next day, the next week. That's all I'd been doing, man. I just found something in front of me to kind of keep me marching on, and that's all I'd ever wanted for that guy, man. And so I would never let like the sun set on my thoughts about somebody where I wouldn't go out and reach out for them because you never know. It might be the last day. So I was checking on people on the trip, and I made it back, and my wife was like, "So how you feel?" I was like, "I think I can do another ride." And she's like, "What do you want to do?" I was like, "I'm gonna go get Chris." So um, that was where Ride for Life really started. Was me going to Minnesota to get his ashes, and riding from North Carolina to Minnesota is like, I don't know, man. I don't know if you've looked at a map. I mean, you suck at geography, Rhino, but it kind of sucks. Like they ain't shit. Like it's not awesome. Like there's some cool stuff, and then it's just nothing. I mean, it's like Indiana. It's like who cares, right? Ohio, whatever. And so like, I need to reach out to some cats and like maybe I can make it a thing. So I had a friend of mine out in Oklahoma, and he'd been, having some stuff going on, family things, and he'd kind of been reaching out a little bit on social media, and he and I had always been close, even if we hadn't spoken. It's like we'd always pick back up where we left off, and I hit him up. He's in Tulsa. So I'm like, well, shit, if I'm going to Tulsa, let's see where else I can go. So I just kept reaching out to folks, and I had a buddy of mine that was out in Atascadero, California, which is it's on the West Coast. It's not too far from the ocean. So I hit him up. This dude's crazy shit. So I was like, hey man, I'm putting this ride together. I want to come out and see you. And I was talking to him, about everything, and he's like, well, I need you to do me a favor. I was like, yeah, what's that? He's like, I need you to take my brother with you. So, man, I hadn't seen this fool in 20 years. Talked to him, just a few times, social media stuff. You lose people. I think I found him on MySpace, right? And so I didn't know what to say. Like his brother died from an aggressive cancer that just really it affects the men in his family, and he had lost him, and so you ain't gonna say no to that. That's one of your brothers asking you to do something so noble. You just can't. So then I'd made it to the West Coast. So I just kind of kept piecing my way around, and it just all happened, and I had a route, you know, and I started reaching out to everybody, and then all the points started connecting with one another, and I knew that I had to do this thing, and it was there. So that's when somebody had the bright idea to start a nonprofit, because that shit wasn't my idea. I'm just like, let's just go do it. You know, I'm not an organizer. I'm not a planner. You know,
Yeah.
even when I ride, man, like I'm not that guy. I'm like, well, you know, if I feel like riding 300 miles, I'll ride 300. If I want to ride 1,000, I'll ride 1,000. If I feel like stopping, I'm gonna stop. I'm not on anybody's timeline. That's not why I ride a motorcycle. I ride a motorcycle for me. And so they're like, you need to start a nonprofit. All right, cool. So get the word out. So I started that, you know, with the focus on people like me that didn't fit into, you know, the special operations classification of veterans. You know, there's a lot of, I'm in coastal North Carolina. You know, you've got Camp Legion's right up the road, so there's all kinds of MARSOC and Raider guys down here. There's SEAL guys down here. There's Special Forces guys down here. There's all those, but you know, the guys that just went in and did their job and got out and were forever changed and still don't fit in with anybody, you know, they're unaccounted for. So that's been my platform like this whole time, you know, is reaching out to those, you know, doing those buddy checks and finding those that are a little bit on the fringe and bringing those guys back in and letting them know that there's somebody out there who cares about them. So while I was on that ride, we're completely grassroots funded, you know, very, very local for that first ride. And I estimated around 400 people when I was on the ride, and I didn't stop and talk to everybody in like individual spots. I mean, it could have been like a gas station thing. You know, I stopped to see anybody that had any kind of veteran stuff on their vehicles or wearing a, you know, something military wise on their shirt, on their clothing, hats, you name it, I did it. Met up and rode with an MC while I was out on the road. All those guys, they're all veterans. Met some really awesome guys with some really intense stories from those guys. And so every this thing was for me, just like it was for everybody else, and every encounter that I had on the road, you know, I didn't have any bad encounters. You know, the motorcycle community, by and large, you know, unless you're dealing with, you know, certain groups, you know, they're pretty welcoming. You know, they're while they might not let y'all into their house, they'll talk to you. You know, and you can just once you talk to them for a couple of minutes, then you know the guard goes down, and then you end up getting somewhere with them. But it didn't matter. Man. It could have been like this old Korean War veteran I ran into outside of Albuquerque, man. And I talked to that dude for like an hour and a half. And he told me, he's like, man, you're the only guy that's going to speak to me today. The only person I want to talk to. There's something wrong with that. I mean, when you're that isolated, you know, some people do it by design. You know, some people it's just they know that no one can relate to them or that no one wants to hear their shit. So they quit talking to anybody. So I'm here to let you know that I'm here to hear your shit. And sometimes I might tell you my shit. But we got to stick together within the veteran community. We got to, you know, support each other. We got to do what a lot of these smaller groups do. We have to do if we don't fit in. Like we're all a bunch of, you know, a bunch of oddities, you know, that got our shit going on. And I'm fortunate enough in this area to have, you know, some people that I can count on, you know, and not everybody has that, you know, and so that's where operation purpose comes in. Is to let everybody know that there's somebody there for them. And the Wilmington area, the reason why I focus on this is You can call 988. You can call these numbers all you want and talk to somebody on a switchboard. Nobody's coming. Nobody's fucking coming to help you unless they call an ambulance for you and they're going to bring you somewhere and then they're going to take away all, they're going to take away your decision making process. So, in Wilmington, we're boots on the ground, and we're creating a network down here where, Wilmington's not that big, but it takes a while to get around. If I know somebody near Rhino's house and Rhino calls me, then I can have somebody there in 10 or 15 minutes to help you out. Because when it gets to the last phase of you wanting to be here, especially on a veteran standpoint, you feel like you failed your family. You feel like you failed everybody in your life. You feel like you're on borrowed time with the last three people that actually give a fuck about you. Then you're not gonna lose that mission. You're not gonna fail. If you decide you're gonna check out, you're gonna check out, and you're not necessarily gonna let everybody in on your plan. But if you could reach out to one person in your area, say, "Hey, man, I'm really hurting right now." Well, I want us to be the people that can come help you, because the people that are with us that are helping me with this, they know firsthand my struggles. That I've sat outside many a night contemplating doing that very thing. That I've been that close to it time and time again. Or they've had their own personal stuff. But the one thing that the Ride for Light did to open my eyes to, it just being a problem in general, not a veteran problem, because I don't segregate anymore. I kind of had this thing in my mind like it was going to be a veteran deal, veterans, first responders. But, last time I talked to my dad, I was pulling into, my buddy's parents' driveway, to get his ashes. I spent the next several days talking to them and letting them know who their son was. They really didn't even know him. And they were filling me in on some stuff about him that I didn't know. So we were both me and his parents were learning about their son and each other. And so I tried to call my dad a few times while I was up there, wherever I could get cell phone reception, because we were out in the middle of nowhere in Minnesota. And I could never get a hold of him. So I told my daughter, my middle child, that I would be home for her birthday, and I had completely lied to her, and but I got the flight. I was like, I'm not gonna make it, because I just knew the time frame wasn't gonna work out. But I got a plane ticket home, so I got home and I'm standing in my living room. I've been home a day. The night before my daughter's birthday, 10th birthday, and I get a frantic phone call with a bunch of screaming in the background, and my dad had fucking killed himself. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? And this dude spent all this time telling me how proud he was of me and how he thought that was bad what I was doing, and it didn't stop him from doing what he had to do. And playing it all back, figuring out what exactly happened. He'd spent the last few days of his life actually squaring shit up with people. And no one ever thought that he would do it. So they didn't think anything of it, So I've, I've just been trying to encourage people to just talk, because those guys, especially, were, supposed to be all fucking macho and shit. And I'm not saying, that we need to, put cry closets, in everybody's house. But, when you've got the ability to use your own voice and advocate for yourself when you're not doing well, you don't have to call a trained professional. I mean, the three of us are trained professionals in our own lives, even if all we have is a string of failures that we can hold ourselves to. But we know each other's strife, we know each other's struggles, because chances are we go down, we start talking, we got the same kind of shit, we got the same kind of problems, and we can all relate. And you know, I'm just trying to foster that sense of community and love and brotherhood, man. Because every dude I run into, man, I have 5 minutes worth of conversation with them. I ain't gonna leave them. If they need me, I'm not gonna leave them because I know what it's like to be left. And I ain't gonna do that shit to nobody because it's tough being alone. So we gotta stick together, you know, and we gotta do it. We gotta do it for each other. You know, we gotta stick around, man. We gotta be able to laugh at each other and cry with each other at the end of the day. You know, that's what it takes. You know, let your friends know you're there for them. Let your friends know you care about them. And the buddy chat, when I send those out, I ask a simple thing, man. Just reach out to 5 other people, man, and let them know you're thinking about them. Scroll all the way down to your bottom of your text messages, man. I was like, shit, I ain't talked to that motherfucker in a while. Just hit them up. Just hit them up. And if somebody pops in your head, it's for a reason. Reach out. And I don't know what it is, man. I'm a pretty dense motherfucker, man. But when my spidey sense starts fucking tingling, there's a reason for that shit. And I reach out to people. And I'm never more happy when I hear, oh man, cool, I'm doing great. You know, because then that means like maybe I'm just hallucinating or whatever, or just, being overcautious. But most of the time, man, it's like, dude, how'd you know I needed to hear from somebody? I just do, man. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell, man. But for the ride, we're doing it again. Yeah, we're leaving May 18th, man. We're heading out the door again, and I'm taking my original battle buddy. He and I played high school football together. We joined the army within a couple of days of each other. I had some shit coming down the pike, so I ended up changing my leave date to leave with him. We had the same job. Um, and hell, that was back before the internet, so we had to actually go to the library and figure out like what jobs you wanted to do. And I picked the job. I picked the job that was like, all right, I want to go do this crazy shit, and like it needs to be like as high risk as I can make it. Because you couldn't just like sign up for EOD or any of that shit straight out of boot camp. So I was like, I want to go do something crazy. So it's like calling for artillery and being out in front of everybody. That's what I wanted to do. So like we did the same thing. So in boot camp, I was like less than an arm's length away from this dude for months. Went to school together. We ended up at Fort Bragg together. And yeah, the one of the last times I actually saw him was the night my oldest was born. And he ended up like sort of 6 years in the Navy after he got out of the Army. And, dude's just been, on his own, having his own stuff going on. And he and I reconnected this past summer. And he was like, man, if I'd have known you were going, I'd have gone with you. I was like, well, shit, I'm going to go again next year. He's like, well, I'm going. I was like, cool. And he's like me. He's really impulsive. I'm sure you two can relate. Like when you want to do something, you want to do it fucking now. Like I don't want to wait. I'm going to do it now. And that's gotten me in trouble a lot because I don't ever ask for permission. I just go do it. And like my wife would tell you, man, like I'd make her nervous as hell because I just go do shit. And like buying motorcycles, I just fucking go do it. And like we can eat ramen. It's fine. And so he's like, well, where are we going to go? I was like, well, we're going to go all over the country, man. He's like, well, I want to leave. I want to go do a ride. I got to get one cross country ride in on this bike. And I was like, all right, well, when do you want to leave? He's like, I want to leave next week. I was like, bro, I'm not doing that. Like, I can't do it. He says, well, I got to get a cross country ride on this bike because I haven't. I was like, have you ridden cross country? He's like, well, no. I was like, why does it fucking matter if it's on this bike or not? He's like, well, I just want to. It's like, all right, cool, I get it. But I'm not leaving next week. If you're going by yourself. So he ended up trading a CVO Street Glide in on Pan America so we can leave the pavement this year.
Oh, fuck
And
yeah.
I saw a picture of that. I saw a picture of that Street Glide. And that was a bad bike. But yeah, so he got a freaking he bought a Pan America, and then there's that whole aspect of this shit, like um and this happened this all happened within like 3 weeks after I got back from New Hampshire last summer after the lowdown. Like I saw you guys, and all that crap happened so fast because I was like, that was a rowdy ass, like that was an awesome time. Like I know you did housekeeping, but for everybody that's listening, it might be listening because of me. I'm telling you, if you can make it up there, I was up at Laconia and I had a better time with y'all's deal than I did up at Laconia because I was surrounded by my people. I was surrounded by my people, and all those choppers rolling in and the piss ass rain. I mean, it was fucking coming down, man, and everybody just rolling in steady. I was like, that's what's up, man. That's family right there. Y'all's family. It's huge, and New Hampshire's like my home away from home. I got a lot of people up there, and I love it. But it all happened within a couple of weeks of me leaving New Hampshire, and I'm like rolling back on this like high, man, because I got to see all my people up there, and meet some new ones and hang out with everybody, and took my time coming home, and I didn't get to go to the hill climb. I left the weather and shit, but maybe next year I'll be at the hill climb. But anyway, so I'm like, man, I got to ride with this guy. Like he went and bought a new bike, like thinking like we're just gonna be like peas and carrots and shit, and like I ain't road with this guy. Like he might just be some kind of like might just ride like an asshole, which I'm not all about that. So we took off and went up to West Virginia to this like to a rally, and man, that was crazy. You ever rode with somebody and it's like you never rode with them before, but it's like you've been riding with them your whole life? That's exactly like it was with him, man. I mean, blocking for me, anticipating like me passing cars and shit, and everything, the whole nine, and it was awesome. So, he's got an adventure bike now. So we had reached out to Harley Davidson and BMW because that's what I ride, as far as an adventure bike, and we had tried to sort out like how we were going to maybe get some bikes because I got a filmmaker going with me and we're filming a documentary while we're at it. And he's a Navy veteran. Yeah, man. So actually, he's like, "Yeah, I want to go ride with you. We're in the Legion together." And I was like, "Well, you got to get a bike, man, because like we're riding adventure bikes, and you're not going to be leaving the pavement on a low rider." And so he's like, "Well, I don't know what I'm going to do." I actually had a guy that I told about what I had going on, and he gave me 2 motorcycles. Yeah, he gave me a bike. Yeah, bro. He gave me a bike like mine, a couple years older, but and don't tell my old girl I said it, but she's in much better. This one's in much better shape than my bike. And yeah, and he gave me a tour. It's like a touring bike. So I'm gonna auction the touring bike off. I got a couple little maintenance items to do on it, but I'm gonna auction it off, and it's gonna go help towards the ride. Probably throw $100 raffle tickets out there. This is 2009 R1200 RT BMW. This thing is like a freaking Cadillac, man. Got all the power you need, and you don't feel anything. That fairing's like better than a road glide fairing. And so I got that going on. And we're just trying to get like camera gear. But I was going to get Harley, because American veterans on an American ride, seeing America. Because my belief is that every veteran should travel and see what they fought to preserve. Because it's different when you're flying in an airplane over clear skies, and you can look down and see, that patchwork quilt of, the Midwest or the Rocky Mountains. But when you're riding through that stuff, especially on a damn motorcycle, man, it's just completely different. You know,
Mm.
it just that your lens opens up, man, and you're not in that cage, and you can just you smell the cow shit. You
Yeah.
see everything. Your eyes are open, and it took me a while to really embrace that experience as I was on my trip the first time. And
Mm.
if nothing else out of this ride, man, it gets my OG battle buddy and my filmmaker on the road and lets them experience what I experienced, when I was not stuck in my own head. Then I'll be it'll be a mission accomplished for me.
Yeah, that's what
But
the one thing you said there is like I try to explain to people that don't ride. It's like it combines your love of the open road with your love of the outdoors. Like it puts them together because you're out in the open, you're out on the open road. It's synergized those two things. So it's like you like long road trips, you like being outside. It's like put those together, get on a motorcycle, and you get both at the same time.
exactly. Exactly. And then, as popular as motorcycling is, there's not a lot of people that actually take off and go do like really long rides, or, they put themselves through the grueling feats of some of these tasks, like what I put myself through, or God, like, I mean, I think Chicken Rick should get an award for all the crazy mess that guy does. But and then you realize how small the community really, really is, and how we are really, we're bonded on two wheels too, and yeah, it's a fantastic place that we live in, and everybody should just get out and ride, you know. I mean, that's where I'm at, So right now we're funding for this trip, we're funding for the documentary side of things. We'll be interviewing some folks on the road. And yeah, we're picking up more ashes this year. The first, our first ashes, like we're going down to South Carolina first, and then we're going up to Louisville, Kentucky to spread ashes on Churchill Downs on the racetrack. So
Oh shit.
they're the ashes of the father of two of my really good friends that served, and he was a jockey. So we're gonna make that happen, and then we're just going, I've got a bunch of spots plotted on the map, and it's kind of coming together now, more people reach out that they want, somebody to come see them, or, somebody hits me up and say, hey man, why don't you go check on this cat? I got a buddy of mine that was, he retired as a CO of Brownsville Federal Penitentiary. Like this dude, like he got that job because he wanted to beat up people. And now he's got a private security firm working in oil fields. So like now it's what like we're gonna track that guy down, He's one of my grunt buddies and go see him, And then, no trip's complete without coming home to New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I gotta be there.
Hell
I
yeah.
gotta be there, man. I gotta be there. And so, I've got a lot of friends up there, a lot of people that, I you know, like that you especially, I mean, y'all are my family, and y'all are every bit of the reason why I do this stuff, just like, my military brothers and sisters, but New Hampshire's a good spot, man. That's my home away from home. I
Live
really
free or
love it up
die,
there.
baby.
Yeah, man.
We
Yeah,
love
I
it up here.
really, I really, I can't wait to get back out on the road, and and then show my buddies, that are riding with me, 'cause they hear me talking about it and they don't understand why, and it's like you just got to be there, man.
Yeah.
Got to be there. Just the whole chopper community, that I'm tied in with some other people up there, in Manchester, and I just love it. Just love it.
Yeah.
It's almost instant friends, man, and it's funny being from down south, man. You think that like you're brought up and conditioned to believe that like Yankees are all stuck up assholes and shit, and that's completely unfucking true. Um, but me being a stuck up asshole, you know, I did find all the stuck up assholes in New England. I actually got along with them really, really well because they ain't got time for bullshit. But you know, there's more people up there that are willing to, you know, go out of their way to help you, you know, and
Oh,
look at, you know, look after you and, you know, make sure that everything's okay, hospitable, and just a sense of patriotism, you know, in
yeah.
New
Hmm.
England is crazy. And it's completely counter, and I'm not trying to get all political, but it's completely counter to the government that's established, you know, and the powers that be, you know. I just love being up there during 4th of July, Memorial Day, you know, and it's just great. It makes me feel good to, you know, done what I've done and, you know, help help secure, you know, maintain this country's freedoms. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, New Hampshire is you know, the freest state in the nation. No sales tax. There's some high property tax, but those free staters, they all come here because we don't have seatbelt laws, helmet laws, all that shit. I love it. I love the
Right.
freedom. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
yeah, that's so such a great mission that you have, you know, and it's so important because it's like you're talking about, you know, reaching out to someone that you can relate to, and it's like, dude, I would never set up a therapy fucking, you know, like I would never call a therapist and sit down with some dude wearing a bow tie and like tell me about your thoughts and shit. Like it's so important because it's like, yeah, you want to talk to someone that you can relate to, some other, you know, person that's been through the same fucking hardships and felt the same things and lives the same kind of life as you know. And it doesn't cost
Yep.
$500 an hour at whatever those perks get, you know, fucking billed. So yeah, and I'll just say too, it's like, you know, definitely uh what you're doing is like so important, but if anybody needs to talk to someone, you know, like that's what's so important about this show to me is just like if there's a low life out there and you need to talk to someone, you know, reach out to Perry, reach out to me or Loctite. Like we don't want to lose you, you know, like we do care about that. Um, but yeah, it's just I really appreciate you sharing all the, you know, definitely like personal details about your life and you know, the backstory behind Operation Purpose. I just think it's such a great organization and such a noble mission statement, you know. um yeah, just blows me away, and especially coming from, you know, a long lineage of scumbags and shit. It's like, dude, nobody's alive anymore, you know. Like all my friends from high school, they're all of them are dead, you know. They're dead from pills or suicide or something, and it's so fucking sad. And it's like it never ends, you know. I'm in, you know, you're in your 30s or 40s and you still have people, you know, you read about them, their obituaries, and it's like, so that's so important to just like reach out, you know, just like, hey, I remember you and I care about you. Because especially with men, you know, young men and shit, like you were talking about, like the tough guy bullshit, you know, you internalize all of that. I don't talk to anybody about anything, you know, that I'm going through. And that's really important to have friends that you can talk to, or someone that wants to talk to you about you, you know. In this day and age too, it's like everybody just wants to talk about themselves, you know, what they're doing and blah blah blah. And nobody's like interested in their friends anymore, you know. But
No, and it's a lot of instant gratification shit, you know, especially with the social
yeah.
media stuff. And, you know, I mean, and honestly, you know, look at it. We're on a social media kind of platform right now talking about this
Mhm.
stuff, but you know, there there's substance with the mission that, you know, and the community that you are fostering, you know, and really the chopper community is a great example of what like-minded individuals can do when they support one another. You know what I mean? And you guys can have coming to Jesus meetings, you know, trying to rebuild you know, a transmission, you know, on an old shovel head or whatever, you know, and you can just get together and shoot the shit and do all those things just like I can, you know, having coffee with my guys on Sundays, you know, and us just talking about our week, you know. Um, you know, we like to. we like to stay in our lane and go with what we know. And, that's what I really enjoy about going out and doing what I'm doing is that I'll go talk to anybody.
Mhm.
And people see me dressed up like a stormtrooper riding down the road on this freaking spaceship, and they think I don't have any they think I don't have any concept of you know what it's like to ride a Harley or be involved in that community. But down here, like that's those are the people that I get along with. Is all
Mhm.
my vet buddies that they ride motorcycles just like me, and it's cool because I'm a part of two different crowds, and I'm a part of like the adventure rider guys, and then the dudes like you guys, get to hang out with on the weekends, and we get to shoot the shit, and
Mhm.
I'm the guy drinking the freaking water while they're getting hammered because I got to
I'm
drive
slowly
home.
becoming that guy.
Bro, I'm telling you, man, I have gotten so much more out of life because I was burning bridges, son. I mean,
Yeah,
I,
I hear
I'd
that.
roll over, bro. I'd roll over, man. And I'd like tap my wife. She's like, "You don't remember anything from last night, do you?" I was like, no, not really." She's like, "It either be you're crazy or we're gonna have to have a talk later." And then
Oh,
it turned into, yeah. And then it turned into, I'm not putting up with much more of your shit. So I was like, all right. So
Yeah,
I should probably put the brakes on that. And
yeah.
yeah, I was hard in the paint, man. Especially when I lived up in Connecticut, it's all cold and shit. I was like 2.5, 330 racks a week, man. A couple of handles, and I was after it. But my liver thanks me
That's how it
yeah.
for
was. If
sure.
anybody that's been listening to the show for a long time, and went to like some of the first deadbeats that we were at, that's how I was. Like we would get there Friday at 5, and by 7, I was fucking wrecked on all, not just alcohol, on literally everything.
Hmm.
And now I'm kind of just like the dude. I just like kind of back in the cut a little bit. I'll drink a couple beers here and there, but just observing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you guys are, you're doing stuff. So, like at the event, that I was at in June, man. I mean, aside from the rain and that crazy wind that's flipping over the tents and shit, like y'all were on it, man. Y'all were like busy doing stuff, and it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to like drink and be in control at the same time, especially when
Oh,
you've got a
Rhino's a
venue.
master. Rhino's a master.
I already know.
I actually need it to focus.
Really?
No, I just like
That's
drinking a
your,
lot.
yeah.
I started drinking. I had an alcoholic uncle that moved in with us when I was like really young. So I started drinking heavily when I was very young. And back in those days, like we're all of us are a little bit older. We probably came up in the same like era ish, And back in those days, people were fucking mean, dude. So if you couldn't hold your alcohol, they would beat the shit out of you.
Oh yeah.
You're like fucking lightweight, dude. You get punked hard. So you'd be shit faced, barely able to stand, but you're like, I gotta hold it together
Hmm.
and act cool.
Yeah, I started drinking in middle school. I started
Oh
taking my
yeah.
parents just had a huge social liquor cabinet, and they would entertain, and they never drank. So I would
Mhm.
just go. I'd maybe take screwdrivers to work or to school every morning at the thermos, man. I
Yeah,
just
dude.
get drunk on the
Yeah,
school
I think
bus
everybody
on the way to
started out
school.
with screwdrivers was the thing, because it just tastes like orange
Mhm.
juice. And you drink the
Yep.
whole fucking thing, you drink a whole bottle with your buddy, just two of you. And now that
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
older, I'm like,
yeah.
I couldn't believe, like, if I did that today, and I'm a well-weathered drinker, I would definitely get alcohol poisoning, which I did back when I was fucking like 12.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. But yeah, so I think I'll be up there probably around the end of July, beginning of August is when I'll be back around, unless something happens. But anybody that's interested, they can go to Operation Purpose on Instagram or Facebook, or the website is operationpurpose.net, and they can kind of. I won't I won't be mapping out my route on the website. Um, I'll be doing it more like in these little videos and stuff. And I keep looking at over there's my map. So, um, but I'll be laying that route out. And I've got some target dates that I have to hit. But like I was telling you guys earlier, I try to keep it like you do the podcast. You try to keep it organic. Just kind of let it flow. And with myself and the other two parties that are riding with me, we're picking up guys that are going to ride with us along the way anyway. And anybody's welcome to ride with us as long as they're not a knucklehead. But I just I want to make sure that we leave enough time for these guys and for me, because I was on a mission the first time for them to enjoy it, and that was one of the things that I laid out in the first ride. It's like, because I had a guy with me for a couple of days, and it was just, if we ride 100 miles, that's fine. I'm not. It's me and the company that I keep. That's what it's about, central. And then when we get to somewhere is when we get there. So I don't really ever schedule more than a couple of weeks out. So a buddy of mine was trying to get a whole bunch of dudes to ride in with me, from like, we were going to pick up on the Kangamangas and come into Manchester, that way. And from like North Conway or whatever. And I wasn't going to make it in time because I stopped and there was people I needed to see and there was people I needed to hang out with. And, and honestly, I was a little fucked up, man, because I lost my dad. I wasn't trying to like stack miles on, man. It was all I could do to put that fucking helmet on some days. And thank God, man, they had flat out Fridays in Milwaukee when I was up there. Because if I hadn't seen a couple of those cats that I knew from mini bike racing down here in North Carolina for the war run, man, I wouldn't even fucking be here my damn self. But yeah, so Ryan Sirocco is like, and Jason Warnke were like two dudes that like I just fucking had really good conversations with those dudes. And yeah, it was badass, man. It was a badass trip the first time. And if you've never been to Milwaukee to go to the museum and motor company, man, you're missing out. Because that shit's legit. It is crazy. And I was the only guy on there. Yeah, it was awesome. It really was. But there's so many cool spots, man. That was one thing, it's like you could stop somewhere and see the world's largest ball of twine. I've rolled through the smallest incorporated town in America when I was on my trip. They got a population of 1. And it's shit, man. She got a big old like custodian key ring, and she runs that whole town, man. She's the postmaster, the mayor, the librarian, the bartender, all that shit.
And, that sounds fucking awesome to have your own town.
Yeah, Manawi, Nebraska. Yeah, that's Manawi, cool. Nebraska. It's in the middle of nowhere. And I rode through it. I was like, man, I think that town's around here. And then I was like, I think I saw that building on YouTube. And sure as shit, man. I like rode right past it, turn around, I had to turn around and go back. But being on a solo trip is one thing, man. But it's so much cooler when you can experience it with somebody else. When you can fucking some douchebags doing something stupid on the road, and you can like pull up next to your buddy. You're like, man, you on hand signal. You see that freaking moron over there? I almost got hit by an elk in September when we were coming back from West Virginia. I mean, I've almost hit or been hit by all kinds of wildlife, but for my buddy to actually be right behind me and see that fucking gargantuan 4-legged fucking thing jump across in front of me is like, now it's like I got a witness. Yes,
yeah,
it was massive.
Yeah, ride with your friends, man. I mean, like, There's nothing like it on a motorcycle, like being like peg to peg, riding with your boys, and then you got a support system too, especially on these shitty ass choppers or whatever. It's like when you break down, everybody's broken down with you, you know, like, and you get shit
That's right.
figured out quick, you know.
I think the most important thing though is like what Perry was saying is do it on your time. Like, don't put a fucking deadline to it. Because, and I'll say this, man, I've ridden with a lot of fucking people, and they're like, we're gonna make this point at this time. We need to get to this one at this time. I fucking hate that shit. I'm a guy where like I want to ride with all my boys, and we ride these shitty choppers, so we're good for 100 miles, then we're gonna stop and get fuel.
Yeah.
So every 100 miles, I like to stop. I like to get off the bike, shoot the shit, act like fucking idiots at the fucking gas station. You know what I mean? And just fucking be ridiculous. Act like fucking children. Like
savor that ride. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
the
that's the
ride's
shit
the
I
thing.
like. But it's like I just don't like when people make like a punctual thing, like deadlines and this and that. Cause that really like you might as well have taken a fucking car. If you're trying to make time, take a car.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about the highway too, but it's like I get it, like on some shit like what you're doing, you get across country, you gotta get on the fucking highway. You're not gonna take back roads across the entire fucking country. I mean, you can.
You're still going to be going through. You're still going to be driving on a highway through cornfields. You know what I mean?
Right, but like,
I'm
local ride, man. I'm not trying to hop on the highway because you're not seeing shit.
No.
You're buzzing at 80, just fucking.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can't be talking shit to your friends at the stoplight and fucking. That's my thing. When I get on the bike, I don't have to be. And it sounds fucking weird, but like when I get on the bike, I don't have to be a dad anymore. I don't have to be a husband anymore. I don't have to be the guy at fucking work anymore. When I'm on the bike, I can be the immature little fucking shithead that I am inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bumping each other's tires and fucking with each other. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I mean, you're just throwing back to riding around the neighborhood on your BMX bike with your kid, with your buddies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's Huffy vibes.
Hell yeah. All about the Huffy vibes.
Dude, we're gonna make that a shirt.
The only bike I ever rode growing up.
All right, so how do people get involved in this? One, if they want to get involved with help funding the ride or becoming a sponsor of the ride. And then also, how do they get involved in Operation Purpose? Say, like, if they're a dude that's got some fucked up shit going on, and like, how do they go about that? You know what I mean?
If they need help or if they want to help, you know?
Right.
So the easiest way for people to get involved, it's kind of two parts to this. If you want to help fund the ride, you can go to operationpurpose.net, and there's donate links all over the place. There's a tab for Ride for Light 2024. It kind of gives more of like a synopsis of what we're going to be doing. For sponsorship, there's different tier levels that we've come up with, and they go from normal money all the way up to ridiculous money. Our budget for this whole ride is $83,000, and that covers the gear, contingency funds, the filmmaker, and of course wear and tear and service on the bikes, including campgrounds, food, stuff like that. It's, turnkey. That's on the website as well. And anybody that's interested, I've got a pitch deck that we did for hitting up corporate sponsorship. So this link is something that we've sent to some of the bigger people that that have means to donate a little bit more. But the part of the budget, it's like $6 a mile. So you can buy a fancy coffee, or you get 3 veterans down the road. So it's whatever people feel compelled to spend, to help propel this mission. And that's a convenient way for people to help Operation Purpose. The more difficult way to help Operation Purpose is actually to get involved. And to get involved, you don't have to be in Wilmington. You don't have to be part of Operation Purpose proper. you can still achieve the same mission, in your own area. And that's part of the national awareness program that we're doing. And I say program, it's not something that I've written out that's, some kind of charter that we live by. But every time that I stop on the road, I just encourage other people to reach out to those that they haven't spoken to in a long time, and that's all it really is. And it's paying it forward. It's just saying, hey man, you know, I ran into this guy at the gas station, and he looked like he's on top of a spaceship. And he's like, hey, man, you should go find this guy that you hadn't talked to and hit them up, or it doesn't even have to be some rando person, that you knew way back when. I mean, call your aunt, call your uncle, call a family member, just reach out. We get so stuck these days because as we're exposed to everything in social media, we actually have become more private. We've drawn back because we don't have real experiences anymore. We don't have real experiences with people. By and large, you know, we see it. And we check. We hit a like button. We hit a heart on a feed, and then like we've done our job for the day. No, that's bullshit. Call somebody, man. Text them, at the very least, and just scroll through the bottom of your feed, like I was saying earlier, man. And if you hadn't talked to this guy in a while, just hit him up, man. They'd love to hear from you. There's nobody out there aside from someone that you've had some real fundamental differences with that you can't reach back out to and say, hey, man, you were on my mind. I was thinking about you. And them not reacting in a positive way. It has never happened with me, and I've done a really good job of making some enemies in my life.
Yeah. That's a great point too. It's like all it is just do what you want to do anyways, right? It's like just nobody's gonna be like, why you texting me? Why you DMing me? Like there's a reason why you two have a connection. You know what I mean? Like your life paths crossed at some point, and it's such an easy thing to do is just be like, hey man, I was just thinking about you. Like that would make my day. I don't think anybody's ever done that for me. You know what I mean? Just like, hey man, I haven't talked to you in a while. That's
It's
awesome.
and it's a small gesture. But
Yep.
if you're on the ropes, man, like just somebody giving you that lifeline, you know. And the thing that I also encourage people to do, man, it's not just reaching out. It's the, the scary thing is when they fucking tell you, hey man, I am not doing good. You got a minute. And then I tell them, tell people the same thing I tell my kids, man. You got two ears and one mouth, man. You need to listen twice as hard as you talk, and just listen to what people have to say. And we might not solve the problems, but now instead of you keeping it bottled up inside, now I'm helping you work. And I don't ever go into this to like try to pry into somebody's personal life because people want to share whatever they feel comfortable to share. I mean, shit. I ain't even like that's not even the tip of the iceberg for like my story for what I told you guys, and and that's a pretty generic story, but it's all the real, it's a lot of the pivotal stuff to kind of help bring me where I'm at now. There's people in your community, man, that are not doing well, and you have access to those people, and it's I might see him in May at the Chopper Show, or I might see him at the at the shakedown we have in a March or whatever. But it's like, you think about that cat, man, hit him up, and you ain't even got to tell him like, man, I was thinking about you and I was worried about you. Don't even do that shit. Just be like, hey man, how you been? Or just for some reason, I don't know why, but you crossed my mind. I just thought I'd give you a shout, check in on you, see how things are going, and that's all it takes. And one thing I've learned in my life is that it's okay to revisit friendships. So I've had friends in my life that like we were cool, and then for some reason like let's go hang out with this motherfucker. I don't know why. Like, that's some badass, had some badass conversations, man. We did some cool shit together, but like, we're not like, we don't talk. Like, that doesn't mean anybody did anything wrong. There's no reason to like be pissed at somebody, but it's like, hey man, like, I haven't talked to you in a while. I hope everything's okay. I don't know why we don't hang out anymore, but we should change that. We should, I don't know, get the kids together. You know, watch them like hit each other over the head with sticks, man. We're just gonna stand there and laugh at them or do whatever. Like, just, I've got a friend here in town, man. And I've been telling my wife, like, man, I gotta get up with this guy. I've driven like right past his house twice the past week, and it's not like I've got it all figured out either. It's like you gotta keep doing it. You gotta, even when you're tired and you don't want to, man. Like, sometimes you just gotta reach out, man, and check that mental box, man. Like, did I do everything I need to do today? Did I reach out to that person? Did I reach out to that person? And it can turn into a job, and it can turn into one of those things that's like, it feels like an arduous task. And what I've really tried to do over the um, past period of time that I've really been focusing on doing the buddy checks is that, like, I I'm not doing it for me, you know, or I'm sorry, I'm doing it for me just as much as I'm doing it for anybody else. So it makes me feel good. So why am I not going to do something that makes me feel good? You know, like, I get you on a ride. Like, I mean, I'll hit you up in the middle of the fucking night, maybe. Be like, dude, I drank some shit that was way worse than that shit you drank on the podcast. I have to. I have to. It has to be the worst thing I've ever had. Yeah. I mean, I actually had a true confession with Loctite last night. When I told him that I'm quite addicted to the smell of the real Loctite. And it tastes good. You know it. It's just, we just, you gotta learn to get, you gotta learn to get to know everybody. You gotta learn to
Yeah.
be stupid, and be fun, and not take shit so serious, but be willing to listen if it turns serious.
Yeah, and
You know,
the thing is too, like what you're saying is like reaching out to people isn't hard because like I have those friends or like you haven't talked to them in 6 months or a year or whatever. They have a family or what they're off doing whatever, living their life. But it's you can pick up right where you left off. It is not awkward. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be awkward. Don't take any baggage, just like go into it and just be like, what's up, man? And it's basically you're back to playing Tony Hawk in your parents' basement. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, such a good game.
just chilling
Yeah.
out, just being around, like you don't have to do something either. That's the thing is like, like when you're just hanging out with your boys or whatever, you're just like fucking chilling. You just have to be in the same space or like, like in the same conversation. And I love what you said about like listening. It's like, that's like a lost art, like actually listening to people. Don't just wait to say what the fuck you want to say. Just shut the fuck up and listen to people. Listen to their whole story, and that'll bring them in closer. That it's like, oh, this person listened to me. They actually listen. I didn't see their mouth like moving, like they wanted to fucking say something. Like you don't have to be giving people advice and doing that. You're not coaching people. It's just that's all they need is someone to like listen to their shit. No matter how
yeah.
petty it is or fucking extreme it is, it's just like, yeah, reach out and listen to your boys and listen to your girls or whoever it is.
And to that point, there was I went and did this veterans ride. We went and rode bikes like my big BMW. Went and rode those out in Arizona last winter, and they're real big on, like, somebody starts talking, you shut up and you listen to them. You don't have to recount everything that they say word for word, but give them the respect. This person's like here, and that it could be like a really big thing. They might not talk to anybody. They want to say something, and you're privileged to hear what's on their mind. and don't use the time that they're talking to think about what you're going to say next. And there's a really big thing with people that have gone through like a lot, especially with people with PTSD and all that. It's like I coined this phrase. Feel free to spread it around, but it's one-upmanship, and it's guys, guys that have been, in the shit, and it's like, well, I lost three of my best friends, and in this IED explosion or whatever, and then some guy chimes in, well, I lost five guys, so I call that trauma bullying. It's when you're like taking your bad shit and you're trying to make somebody feel worse because their bad shit wasn't as bad as yours. And then you try to gloss over and you're like, oh yeah, I was in a bad spot too, except mine was worse because of this. And that was something that they would not tolerate there. And I I have a hard time with that, with people that feel like that's okay, and um because our life experiences are unique to us. Like all three of us could go through the same thing, and we're going to remember it differently, and we're going to take something differently away from it. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad or whatever. Like we could ride past the same truck stop on the road, and all three of us be on our bikes riding right side by side. You know, Loctite's going to see this Kenworth, just sitting there with like some, freaking lot lizard hanging out the passenger side window. Rhino, you're going to see some family getting out of a four-wheel drive pickup truck, and I'm going to see a 32 Ford just sitting off on the side. We're going to see something completely different, and we're going to take something completely different away from that. So, but everything that we take away from it is valid. Everything that we take away from it is ours. It's our experience, and that's what we have to do more of in our lives. I feel is we have to let people experience lives their way, and be there for them when they need us, but not let them down when they need you. So I try to tell people, I don't tell people call me if you need me. I just tell people I'm here when you need me. I'm not going to tell you nothing. I'm going to do everything in my power. If one of y'all from up there calls me, I know a bunch of people up there that are willing to go help anybody that I know, because they know if they're important to me, then they'll be important to them too. And it's not that I have pull; it's just that these people, they know, the people that I talked to and spent time with, they know that we're only here for a short amount of time, man. And life's too short to make enemies and be an asshole to people, and be unhappy. So we just got to be there to lift each other up. So I hope I answered your question about how to get involved with Operation Purpose. I'm not one of those people that wants to capture all the attention like some of these big silo organizations. I don't really care to make any money off of this. I just want people to appreciate one another and be there for one another. And in my local area, we're working towards. We're doing small events now. We're starting off with the coffee stuff. Now the weather is going to be starting to turn warm. We're going to ride. Um, Probably do breakfast. Start doing some breakfast rides. But you know, none of the preaching. None of the counseling kind of thing. It's not. It's all informal. And whatnot. But my ultimate goal is to get a place here where people can meet. And even if it's just a card table and four chairs where guys get together and play spades every week just to get out of the house, that's all I ask for. If money was no object and I had access to unlimited resources, my perfect spot would be like an old fire department, with bays, in a classroom, a bunkhouse for people that just can't go home, a kitchen to feed people, and That's how I show my love, man. I love cooking for people. I love smoking meat and watching people fill their bellies and be happy that way. But yeah, I'm looking to do some kind of share space here. Where you want to put build some adjustable push rods in your bike. Well, come on, man. I got some bolt cutters, and I know how to do it. And we can do whatever we got to do, and we're only limited by not saying anything. You know, so that's what I'm looking to do is just to get a place here where we can all congregate together, and it's starting off being veterans and first responders, kind of thing, but all my friends are welcome. All my friends come from a lot of different places, and I'm not turning anybody away. So that's where we're at. So operationpurpose.net. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook at Operation Purpose, and yeah, all the donate links. If you're so inclined, spread it around. I'm appreciative. It's going to help us get around the country one more time and let everybody know that we're still out here. We're still caring about them. We're still thinking about them, and we're going to pick up some more ashes and bring them home.
Oh yeah, we'll throw a link up to on lowlifechopperpodcast.com, a link to Operation Purpose, just to make it easy, because most of our listeners, they're not the smartest people, and they're really bad with computers.
Understand?
They can only memorize one URL.
I hear you.
Just kidding, guys.
I only have one password. Like if something happens, I'm screwed, man.
Oh yeah, same. I can't remember more than one password.
That's it. And if you figured out, like you could hack into my, all of the databases that I'm affiliated with. You can go buy some shit on, on Revzilla or JP Cycles, or you can get into my taxes. Whatever you need to do, it's all out there. Same password.
What is the password? I'm just kidding.
Not telling.
I do the same thing, and I always get so fucking pissed off when they're like, "You got to change your password. It's been like 3 years or whatever." Or there is a data breach. I'm like, I'm gonna take my chances. I'm just using the same one. What do they? You can't get blood from a stone.
I know. I'll put like an exclamation point at the end of it.
Yeah, just change the character. Like, yeah.
Or I just write it on the desk. Or I'll like put it on my phone, saved under passwords not to forget. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what I do. Yeah, I'm not slick. I've bumped my head too many times, man. I can't afford to like be confused. But yeah, that's it, man. That's me, man, in a nutshell. So if I could put knobby tires on that on the big beast, I might take her. But I don't think she'll do too good going off road.
Might be surprised. Those Harleys, they got good balance. Before we get any further along here, we have a new sponsorship section here. I'm gonna surprise Loctite live on air here.
Oh shit. Hold on, how do I know what to do if I don't know what it is?
You'll know what it is when I do my thing, bud.
Okay.
All right, you ready? We need that hype.
God. Up first, we got Steve from Deadbeat Customs, the creator of the Deadbeat Retreat, where all low lives go to die. I thought I was supposed to loop the whole time. You just threw me off. You just threw me right off.
Let's loop it.
The creator of the Deadbeat Retreat, where all low lives go to die. Steve has been supporting us since the very fucking beginning, through everything, through us getting canceled, through me saying continuous fucked up shit that pisses a lot of people off on this show. Steve don't give a fuck. He's the real deal, Holyfield, and supports us on everything we do. So help us return the favor. Shop at deadbeatcustoms.com. Use code LOWLIFE at checkout to save some motherfucking money.
And check out that blog. We on there, Chopping 101, baby. Up next.
Yeah, you always got to do the blog part. Next, we got Lowbrow Customs. Everything you need for the road ahead. One of the building a motorcycle, from the engine, the frame, transmissions, transmission components. I don't know if they do whole transmissions, fenders, gas tanks, everything you need at Lowbrow Customs. Lowbrow literally supports every grassroots chopper show. I guarantee you've never been to a chopper show that does not have a Lowlife banner. So help return the favor. Shop at lowbrowcustoms.com.
Lowlife supported the Lowlife Lowdown. They had banners up, baby. They gave us a big box. Up next,
we got No Luck Paintworks. Dan, the man from Manchester, New Hampshire, cooking up some of the dopest fucking paint jobs on the East Coast. He does everything from chopper paint jobs to Dynabro shit, bagger stuff. He'll paint you shit for your fucking garage if you want. Hell, Dan will paint your house. I'm just kidding. He won't paint your house, but he'll paint everything else. Check him out at No Luck Paintworks on Instagram and tell him his boys from the Lowlife Chopper podcast sent you.
Love you, Dan.
Next, we got Steel City Blacksmithing. Josh is the only blacksmither that I know, actually. No, I'm just kidding. There's another one too, but I fucking forget.
The only one you can remember.
Yeah, fuck, dude. God damn it. He's gonna hate me too. He's a Florida dude. Sorry, man. I'm drawing a blank. He does blades though. Super fucking sick. We've done an episode with him. Go check it out. Anyways, Steel City Blacksmithing, twisting everything metal. He's got the lathes. He's got fucking pretty much anything you need made. He can fucking make it happen. Go give him a follow at steelcityblacksmithing.com and check out. Follow him at Steel City Blacksmithing on Instagram and check out steelcityblacksmithing.com.
What? Is he a knife maker?
Who? Yes, it's KO Defended. That's his knife.
Yeah, dude.
That's the exact knife. I was just talking to him. I was like, I need one of those. That's a gutting knife.
Dude, this is the Everyday Defendant, and then I also have the Everyday Defendant Mini, and it's like it's like half this size. They're fucking sharp as fuck. I have cut myself innumerable times. Actually, Josh from Steel City has one, and he sliced himself real good on that shit. Sharp as fuck, but
I remember that.
Awesome guy to work with, yeah. And yeah, dude, good prices for the sheath and the knife. All right, next up we have
Stay Strong Co., the homie that makes the only hot sauce that both of these motherfucking co-hosts love to put in their mouth. I'm telling you, this shit is amazing. It's good on any meat that you want to put it on. It's the best on chicken wings. It's good on. Here's the thing. It's not like your conventional hot sauce. It's not like one you just like
so much more
like dumping on there. It's like a sauce. It's almost like the texture of barbecue sauce. It's fucking amazing. And make sure you stay tuned because I talked to John Luke himself. Right now he's on the road, but when he gets back, we are in the lab and we are collabing to make a Stay Strong Co. Lowlife Chopper podcast hot sauce. So make sure you go follow him on Instagram and watch out for that hot sauce drop.
All right, next up, we have a new sponsor to the show. Burnt Up Wood Burning. Matt. He does all custom shit by hand, no CNC, not an engraver. He's doing wood burning. I'm going to throw up some pictures of some of the shit he does. Fucking dope. Give him a design. He'll put it on wood. He does people's cars. He does people's bikes. He does a ton of bike shit too. But Burnt Up Wood Burning, new sponsor of the show. Cool dude. You know he's cool. He likes the show. He listens to the show. So you know he's a good dude. I'm going to throw up some pics on Friday when we post this shit of some of his work. It's fucking amazing. It looks like a photo.
It's so good.
Dude, it looks like a photograph. And he said he did it all freehand. And I was like, are you lying to me? Because it looks photorealistic. And I'm going to hit him up and see if he can do something for LCP here. And we can hang it up, dude. They fucking chunks of wood burning with their bikes on it with the fucking LCP logo. It's going to be hot. So check out.
Son, he's listening to this. Listen, if you need any wood, I have hundreds of pine rounds and hardwood rounds. Come pick them up. Bring a truck, buddy. You can have them all.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Up next, we have Rhino Resto, inconveniently located in Hanover, Hampshire, home of the Vapor Honer Boner, except no substitutions, with a focus on vintage motorcycles and tool restorations, friendly service, even friendlier prices. Contact me today. I actually got my old Instagram name back. I used to be, after I got canceled on Instagram, I was Rhino_Resto, but now I'm back to Rhino Resto on Instagram.
Oh, shit. I thought you were saying they gave you back the account.
No, those fucking cocksuckers never answered me. Same thing with the Spotify bullshit. Once you're canceled for good.
Yeah,
they don't give a fuck. So, anyways, contact me today, John Luke. I'm working on your panhandle. I'm going to send you some progress pictures. I actually did the bottom end, and it's looking minty, buddy. Up next, last but not least,
Loctite Shop, conveniently located in Epping, New Hampshire, the motherfucking center of the universe. Anything you need, pinstripe, hit me up. If you want garage signage, you want your tins done, whatever the fuck you want, hit me up. We'll make it happen. You can mail me your shit if you're not local. If you are local and you're not a weirdo, I'll come to your place and do it, or you can drop them off and I can do it here, which is preferred. Hit me up on Loctite Shop on Instagram or Loctite Shop at Lowlife Chopper Podcast.
Oh, last, but certainly not least. Save the best for last. This show, the Lowlife Chopper Podcast. You can go to lowlifechopperpodcast.com. It has all the links to all of our shops and socials, Big Cartel, Instagram, YouTube, and soon to be Operation Purpose. We'll have a link there if you want to get involved. Lowlifechopperpodcast.com. It's in the bottom of this video somewhere. It's so easy to remember. It's the name of the show.com. So check us out. That's the one-stop shop for everything Lowlife. So,
and last but not least,
the
homie Perry at Operation Purpose. Listen, I knew Perry for about, I think we got the chat for a solid 10 minutes at the Lowdown because, like he said, we were so fucking busy. It's so hard to talk to everybody when you're running the fucking show. But with that 10 minutes, me and Perry became lifelong fucking friends. I can contest without getting into too much fucking detail. Operation Purpose has helped me through some crazy shit. And I'm not a vet, but Perry understands the shit I was going through. He has people that can directly relate to the shit I was going through, and that shit saved my fucking life. So that's what I can tell you is, even if you're not a vet, if you're just a dude that needs fucking help, or you feel like you can give some help, you've been through some shit, you understand where somebody's coming from, hit up Operation Purpose. Follow them on Instagram. If you can donate to help him make this trip possible, great. But word of mouth and just sharing his post is also extremely helpful.
Another thing, I didn't even bring it up. Too many shots to the head. If anybody wants to get a hold of me personally, my number is 406-VETERAN. Just dial it on your phone, 406-VETERAN. And you talk to me. And I might not have advice, but I'll listen. And I can always listen. So anybody needs me, here I am.
That's awesome. All right, guys. Perry, thank you so much for coming on. And such great work you're doing. I think it's so important. And I'm so excited to continue working with you. I'm going to do one more shot of Malört to end the show.
God.
Perry, stick around. Perry, stick around after the recording is ended. But we're going to end it with my Malört face again. I'm doing this for you, lowlifes. This is not healthy. This can't be healthy. This tastes like fucking dog shit. This is terrible. All right. Next week, lowlifes.